Gentlemen on the dais and the lady on the dais, and ladies and gentlemen. After SWAN, what is a very natural question. That is the question I asked my department when I took over IT some time back. And for Haryana, it is particularly important to ask this question because we are now really looking this question in the face. SWAN in Haryana is nearly ready. The state headquarters, the state NOC is in place. The district NOCs are in place. I am holding video conferences with the district magistrates on SWAN. We are actually conducting trials for link stability and the bandwidth stability. And at the block level, equipment is already in place. We are waiting for BSNL to provide us the connectivity. We have got state-of-the-art technology in the state headquarters. We are geared up for attaching the state data center right next to SWAN, again in an advanced state of preparation. So now the question that is actually staring us in the face is, after SWAN, what? We have done the easy part actually. This was the easy part. Putting things in place is the easy part. The real challenge now lies ahead. And that challenge is very real as the challenge that Vivek faced. You know, monkeys disturbing the alignment of the VSAT terminals on the village network. It's not something that you anticipate, but it's something that happens. But in the case of SWAN, we definitely anticipate one very, very peculiar problem. That is how to change the mindset of the Babu, the real seat of power in the government, and the cutting edge, the interface between government and the citizen. Because unless we can deliver services to the citizen, SWAN would be a failure. And I can also say with some bit of assurance that but for one piece of legislation that came into being about a couple of years ago, SWAN at this juncture would still be doomed to fail. The problem that is before us now is not finding the solutions for the various line departments who have to be now computerized and put online. The problem is how to ask those departments to start looking for solutions. So one very unintended help in this has come from the Right to Information Act. Yesterday it was being discussed. RTI mandates computerization of records of all the departments, all the records of all the departments. Now, what the RTI has done in the last year and a half is it has made life hell for the Babu. See, for one thing, he has to share information. Now, that was his prized possession. That was what he really prided himself on. You know, he would not even look at a file lying on his table because the citizen was asking for it. And now he is required to look in the deep holes where he has thrown his previous files, and he has to dig up information and he has to make it available within a time frame. And he is one hassled character. The pinch we feel as heads of the department also. Because I'll say RTI has increased the workload of every department by at least 50%. So there is a serious crunch on manpower, there is a serious crunch on the time of the officer. Because if the information is not delivered on time, there is hell to pay. And another incidental help in that came from the fact that at least in Haryana, the Information Commission is manned by government officers who have retired. Now those are people who are used to wielding a lot of power in their pre-retirement days. Now the only power they have is under the RTI. It's a tremendous amount of power. But they don't shy away from exercising it. So there are a lot of penalties, a lot of strictures against people who don't deliver. So the result is now the Babu is actually looking for a solution to manage his data in a proper format. Now that's the biggest help that has come, which can really help SWAN become a success. Some bit of help has also come from the courts, because they have issued judicial orders that all jails and all police stations have to be, technically updated. So information has to be available. Video conferencing has to be in place. The under trials have to be secure, and all kinds of measures have to be in place so that judicial system becomes functional, more functional. Now that has become a very aspiring user of SWAN, at least in Haryana. So with this help, I am very, very optimistic about what we are going to do after SWAN. In Haryana, already 12 departments, line departments have been identified which will immediately ride on to the SWAN. These include police, judiciary, jails, excise and taxation, land revenue, district administration is already a part of it, transport department, then building and roads, irrigation, water and supplies, development. A lot of departments are also waiting in the wings. They are not in a state of preparedness to actually ride on to SWAN. So in that sense, we are very optimistic that SWAN utilization will really be up to the mark. Maybe not to the full extent of Mbps that we are hoping for, but over a period of time, yes, even that may actually be a little insufficient in time to come. So the result of this is now that we can not only think of state data center coming into operation and a state portal which is actually functioning and delivering services to the citizen. So on the sidelines, we are in a position to think about things like digital record rooms and new ways of data management and data warehousing and data mining in the government departments. And believe me, departments are now willing to look at it. So the smart administrator would be able to put in a lot of e-governance right now into their departments because there's going to be minimal resistance from the cutting edge workers. So this is going to be in place. What I foresee for Haryana is a transition from very, very poor quality databases, poor quality data management and total chaos in filing to a smooth, secure and fully data system. That is going to come, which again naturally it leads to government process reengineering, because at this point of time, if you are talking about amendment to norms of archival and norms of data management and filing systems, we by force naturally have to look at the way the government procedures are functioning, the processes are in place. So that will come up. That is the real big challenge. But there's also a caution going to be involved in this, because in our enthusiasm for making data available openly in the public domain, there is a chance we may go overboard. We may make some data which requires a bit of confidentiality also to come into the public domain, or maybe not enough security in place, not enough encryption in the place to prevent theft of that data and use of it by unscrupulous elements. So that with that word of caution, now the government functioning, the total concept of science, I feel undergo a sea change in the coming couple of years. This is definitely going to raise expectations of the common man in terms of delivery of services. It is also going to raise a lot of expectations in the political leadership as well as the bureaucratic leadership in terms of efficiency of the government and productivity of the government. Now, those are again issues that are going to be linked. Everything is now poised for a quantum jump in e-governance, thanks mostly to SWAN and to State Data Center and to CSC and other similar schemes that are coming up. Now, what has happened is that governments have become very wary of using resources for e-governance. So the ICT players have a really significant and critical role to play in this at this particular juncture. So they have to be aware of a few things. First, they have to be aware that they have a stake in good governance. So when we talk about a transition from governance to e-governance, we are necessarily implying that there has to be good governance coming in the shape of e-governance. And all businesses have a stake in good governance. So ICT players must understand this, that they have a stake in good governance. And that when they really propose solutions, a part of it is going to flow back to them. They should also realize